Today I want to talk to you about classroom management, and I want to share with you the difference between my first year teaching and my second year teaching. My first year teaching, I was so idealistic. I had it all planned out. I had my real clear rules, and my number one rule was respect. I was going to say to all the kids on the first day, listen, you respect me, I'll respect you, we'll respect each other, we'll respect each other's belongings, and everything's going to work out. And you know what? That totally fell on its face. Being a first year teacher is really tough, and it's really easy to want to compromise, to want to give in, to want to figure out, how can I work with students? I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be their friend, but I want to be friendly. I want to find ways to build relationships and build bridges with them. And that all sounds great. But then you have your first day. My first day was rough. My first day, I did everything wrong. First of all, the kids, as they were walking in, I was saying hello to them, but I didn't really have a plan. I didn't have something for them to do right away. I didn't have assigned seats. I didn't have real clear, specific expectations. And so they walked all over me. My first year was rough. But then I discovered Fred Jones, Tools for Teaching. Love Fred Jones. His book, Tools for Teaching, has really changed the way that I approached learning and teaching. And one of the tips that I learned from Fred Jones and his Tools for Teaching was never give away the furniture. So basically what that means is always assign seats. Never give kids an opportunity to just sit wherever they want, because if you let them sit wherever they want, they're going to also think that it's okay to act any way that they want. And maybe this eventually changes, but for me, I've discovered this to be true at middle school and high school. There's something about telling the students where they need to sit that says, listen, no matter where we are, I'm in charge. You need to look to me to get direction. I found this to be really useful on field trips where you wouldn't expect there to be a seating chart. And we planned a seating chart for the bus. We planned a seating chart for the plane. We planned a seating chart even for when students are eating lunch. I think it's really important to have that plan so that they look to you as the guide, as the expert, as the person in charge. So the first day of my second year teaching, I waited at the door. I had all the students line up down the hallway. And as they were walking in, I shook their hand, looked him in the eye, introduced myself. Hey, Mr. D. They said their name. If I didn't hear their name, I got them to repeat it. I repeated their name. Cassandra, nice to meet you. And then I gave them a little puzzle piece. Now that puzzle piece was the perfect match to another piece that was taped to a desk in the classroom. So Cassandra walked up, shook her hand. Hi, Mr. D, what's your name? Cassandra. Cassandra, nice to meet you. Here's your puzzle piece. I want you to go find the match, take a seat, and get started with the activity on the board. So I set the expectations from the beginning, from the first minute of the first day of that year. Now there was a student, we'll call him JB, and JB cut in line. JB did not want to wait his turn and shake my hand and get a puzzle piece. And as a second year teacher, I now had a little bit of experience. So I knew, okay, don't freak out, but don't also give in. So I said, excuse me, would you mind going to the back of the line, please? He looked at me like, wait, what? And I was just very clear. I didn't repeat it. I just guided him. This is where I want you to be, with my hand, with my eyes. Now he was testing me from the beginning. But because I held my ground, he went to the back of the line and waited. A little huffing and puffing as he went there, but he followed my directions. And so I was consistent. Each student came through, shook their hand, looked him in the eye. Mr. D, Travis. Nice to meet you, Travis. Here's your puzzle piece. Go find your seat and get started with the activity on the board. And I would do that each time, 32 kids in a row, until we got to JB. By that time, he had seen it modeled over and over again. He knew what to do. He reached out his hand and said, JB. I said, Mr. D, nice to meet you. In that moment, there was a little bit of grace that was given from him to me and from me to him. And that started our relationship at the beginning of the year. So not a contentious one, but one out of mutual respect. And I think when teachers say, I have one rule and that's respect, I respect you, you respect me, we respect each other, that's not good enough. I think you have to have really clear expectations, but then you use respect as the reason for having those expectations. And so in that moment, JB showed me respect, I showed him respect, mostly because he now respected me and he now respected my rules. Gave him the puzzle piece, he found his seat, he got to work. I walked in the room and the room was quiet. Kids were working. Now let's say they weren't on that first day. What I would have done is reiterated my expectations. I had them written on the board. Quietly find your seat and get started. They had the activity right there on the board. They had all the materials already laid out on their desk, so I made sure that there weren't kids in the middle of class sharpening pencils or passing notes or asking for materials that they didn't have. I provided everything that they needed so that we could focus on learning. And that is one thing I learned from Fred Jones, to never give away the furniture. Thank you for watching this video. I'm Dr. Brian J. Dixon from Learning Redesigned. Check out my other videos at brianjdixon.com.